All right, we're on to part two, shall we say, of Sauvignon Blanc. I thought we'd do it this way. So, starting off with Loire Valley, is pretty much the home of Sauvignon Blanc, and specifically in the Loire Valley, all the way to the far east side of the Loire Valley, which they classify as the Middle Loire, in as much because it's pretty much in the middle of France, and so that's the district it's in. The famous area are Sancerre and Pouilly-Fumé, and then you have Concy, which is a little further west, 10-15 miles, not a huge difference. And obviously all 100% have Sauvignon Blanc, and what is famous here, and which gives you that sort of minerality and gives you a lot of the essence of the wine, is the overarching of Kimmeridgian soil. And in Sancerre and Pouilly-Fumé, your Kimmeridgian soil is physically at the surface of the land, and when you move over to your Concy, it is basically now beginning to go underneath the land, and so therefore when the vines dig deeper, they get access to some of that Kimmeridgian soil, that limestone. And so what you see is these have been historically much more famous and are very famous these days, and then as you come down to, and so have that lovely minerality, and then as you come down to the Concy, generally you have less minerality in a generic term. Within that sort of Kimmeridgian soil, what you're looking at is, one of it is a marl-based soil with oysters in it, and so that is gives you some of that lovely sort of sea salt sort of characteristic and lovely acidity. Another one has a flint aspect to it, and the flint is more dominant in Pouilly-Fumé. And so if you think about flint, there's some of that smoky characteristic, hence the reason why it's called Fumé, coming from the town of Pouilly, is basically what you're looking at. So you have some of that sort of characteristic, is what we're talking about. And then the third type of soil you get within these vineyards is the limestone pebbles. So what you're seeing is when you put those three different soils together within the sort of the area of the Kimmeridgian limestone, you get this lovely minerality, this lovely vibrant acidity, and giving you that perfect soil structure for Sauvignon Blanc to really work its magic. Sauvignon Blanc is already naturally high in acidity, so this Kimmeridgian soil, these flints, this limestone, just adds to that basis of acidity. What you also see more and more from different parts of those villages, you'll have a preponderance of certain soils within those different parts of the village. So you'll begin to see these different nuances, is what we're talking about. So when we look at Sancerre, the Dominique Roger, I love this. I have to say, I do love the Pouilly-Fumé. And you know what? I'm going to say I love this as well. I know, I'm just a lover. What can I tell you? So when I look at the Dominique Roger, just very, very good example of classic Sauvignon Blanc coming from the Loire Valley, coming from Sancerre. You go from that nice crisp lemon acidity, green apples, pears, up into your peaches, and perfectly ripe fruit with beautiful acidity. It has a smoothness and an elegance, great food wine. Obviously all three of these would be gated with chèvre, which is the classic goat cheese in that area. Great refreshing day. We're looking at about 25 bucks. Pouilly-Fumé, across the river. Literally, these are across the river from each other in the Loire Valley. Pouilly-Fumé has a little bit more flint to it. There's a little bit more smoky. Again, when it comes to the fruit characteristic, again, you're looking at some of that beautiful citrus, some of that pink grapefruit in there as well, within that citrus aspect. Going into the green apples and pears, and again, touching on slightly into those peaches. So again, that beautiful stuff. Just a little bit more of that sort of flinty, slight smoke sort of characteristic, and some beautiful sort of that saline characteristic as well. When you come to the Dominique Mardon, which is the Concy, again, this one just isn't as refined. You know, this one's 25, this one's about 25. This one you're coming into about sort of 22, 23. There's just a different sort of structure to it. Let's put it that way. Refinement's probably an unkind word. The minerality isn't there as much. So if you're looking for that minerality, this is not the one. These two are. If you're looking for more that sort of fruit-driven within a Loire aspect, then this Concy is definitely the style. It's not sort of as fruitful. It's more fruit-forward, but it's not a sort of ripe fruit, if that makes sense. So it still has some nice citrus, still has some sort of nice green apples, but not sort of sweeter ripe fruit as possible is what you're looking at. Personally, I think all of these would be great as on the porch, by the pool. Beautiful food wines as well, because you get that lovely acidity. Can definitely get through those cheeses, can definitely get through some of that creamy sauces. So just beautiful examples of Loire Sauvignon Blanc.